What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ryan Dealey Show, the RDL Show. Starting our second week. Got a big show for you today. It's International Women's Day, so me and the crew are going to give you our favorite female athletes of all time. But I wanted to start, more of a serious topic, right? It was a big week for me last week. For these fellas here, we've been planning on this show for a while now, and we launched it into, uh, you know, a lot of people recognized what we were trying to do and were a part of it in our first week. So strangely enough, for me this weekend, I felt incredibly like shit all weekend. Now, life is life. Um, you know, you know, am I spending enough time with my kid? Am I a good enough father? Um, why do I feel down? Shouldn't I feel up with all this great stuff going on for me? And then COVID has what it's done. It's been a year that I've essentially been inside. Your world gets shaped down into something much smaller. And you're not out, you're not being as sociable, and then you become this part of you, like you have a chance to go be social with somebody, and you're still um, held back by it because you just kind of want to curl up and lay in bed. Luckily for me, I talked about it with somebody. I told them I don't know why I'm feeling this way, and she asked me really about what it was about. What can you identify the feelings? And a lot of it was fear, and I don't know what I was fearful of, but that was the major point of it all. And I think we've seen that play out over the last year with a lot of our world, the fear of what we don't know. And I kind of knew what the next week is for me, and but it was incredibly emotional, and it's that that black blanket that feels like it kind of comes over you, and you really don't want to do anything. And when that happens, you need to speak up. You need to talk about it. You need to tell somebody who you trust, who can reciprocate about what that is. And that's what I did. I addressed it. I spoke about it, and things changed. And I waited until Sunday afternoon to really address it after I kind of laid around and did nothing this weekend. And I saw my therapist this morning. We talked about it. She also was able to talk about how sometimes self-care is needed, right? And you can't look at the fact that you're laying around and watching TV on a weekend as being lazy, but more about self-care. Sometimes you just got to take care of yourself, understand why you're doing something. I always talk to somebody, especially when it comes to substance abuse and mental health, why you're doing something. There's always some sort of motive that takes you there. So the things that I did really well last week was I started my own show. I spent time with my son. I got him his first golf club set. Um, so all these positive things in your life, yet you feel so down and you wonder why. And if you express that and you talk about it with somebody else, it changes. And for the longest time, my whole life, when life was tough, when things were going so well, and I still felt angry or fearful or judged or anything like that, and I didn't talk about it, you continue to spiral down that path. So when I woke up this morning, there was more optimism and and what it looked like moving forward. So I implore all of you out there that are listening and are part of our new show, raise your hand, talk to us about why it's difficult to be a human being right now, because we're all the same. We're all going through the same thing. And I want to be that different kind of show. I want to be the show that talks about everything. Sports is awesome. Sports brings us together. Sports allows us to have these honest to goodness conversations, and I'm really grateful for it. We said it was going to be a different show, and it is. I'm going to tell you exactly how my life is. It's hard right now. I'm in this house. You're pretty buttoned up. You can't really go anywhere. I'm fearful to go anywhere. Because I have the son, and I don't want to put him in harm's way at all, ever. That's the worst possible thing in my mind. And I'm also fearful of, being asymptomatic and giving it to somebody else who has a pre-existing condition that could die from it. Those are the things that worry me. So there's an empathy to it, but it also takes a toll on your mental health when you are stuck at home in a world where you're supposed to be about fellowship. So I implore all of you to speak your truth. Talk to us, talk to somebody you trust when you are going through a tough time, and just address it, because if you don't, it's going to build up and build up and build up. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. We're going to get into what I think is a wonderful day to represent. It's International Women's Day today. And so let's bring in our colleagues here, Sky and Jonathan and Charlie. And when we were talking about International Women's Day, and when the word GOAT gets floated around all over the sports spectrum in terms of who's the greatest of all time, it's seemingly always men's names. And that is the unfortunate part of the uncomfortable history of our country. You know, it makes for a difficult conversation because of the disadvantaged, the marginalized, from the diversity problem to the social injustice, and to the women of our country and what they were not allowed to be a part of or do or have a voice. So every time we talk about the greatest of all time, women have to be at the forefront of that just as much as men, always, because they are damn good. And I wanted each one of the fellas to give me their favorite female athlete of all time. And I'll start because I don't know if I could have put my finger on it until last year, just before this just over a year ago. I was at the MIT Sloan Analytics Conference. I was asked to be a panelist to speak there. And I was asked to a dinner the night after my speech, and they were telling me who was going to be there. And first off was Shane Battier. And I was like, oh my God, Miami, Duke, amazing basketball player. It'd be so great to meet him. And then she mentioned Sue Bird. And I immediately got this sense of like, what's the word? I was starstruck. And I said, oh God, I have to go to this dinner. I wasn't really interested. It had been a long trip. We were in Boston, and I was like, really like to go to bed. But hearing her name and being able to be there. And then when I got there, I got to sit next to her. And then the whole evening revolved around talking to her and all the things that she's been able to accomplish and everything like that. And so I can firmly tell you right now, and we're efforting to try to get her to be our guest on Wednesday. I just texted her. I FaceTime her now and text her. This is like the coolest thing in the whole world, is that Sue Bird is an acquaintance of mine. I probably think our relationship is much closer than she thinks it is, but I'm okay with that. So she is definitely my favorite female athlete of all time, Sue Bird. So let's start with Jonathan. Jonathan, what about you? Where are you going with this on International Women's Day?
Oh, before I give my pick here, I just want to point out something. When Ryan Leaf says he's starstruck, don't take that with a grain of salt, right? Like, this is the guy who was talked about in the same conversations as Peyton Manning, right? He was a Heisman runner-up to Charles Woods, and he was a Rose Bowl winning quarterback for a team that didn't win in 56 years, I think, right? 56, Ryan?
67.
60. Okay, I flipped him. Regardless, my point is like, this guy's met a lot of people. So when he says he's starstruck, he's been in the conversation with a lot of people. So when he says he's starstruck, like, y'all better be paying attention. So Sue Bird's real. Sue Bird is really the shit here. And when Ryan Lee says it, y'all better agree. I'm going with Oregon softball athlete Haley Cruz. Obviously, my bias is with the Ducks, but when you
obviously,
yeah,
you're so young. It's like only athletes you know are like Oregon athletes. So look, go ahead.
Cheryl Miller is all-time one of the best, not just women's basketball players, but basketball players, media members. She went to USC. She's from the greater Los Angeles area. My dad actually went to USC with Cheryl Miller.
Ran into her at a convenience store a year ago.
There you go. Right. Cheryl Miller historically is probably my favorite female athlete of all time. But if we're going like in today's game, right? Like, you look at the women who have carved out a voice in the industry in female sports and female athletics who have paved the way. And, Sabrina Ionescu is another one that comes to mind, right? Like she got to speak at Kobe's memorial ceremony. She's been innovative in the way of women's voice in sports. But same as Haley Cruz, right? And people kind of sleep on softball as a premier sport in college athletics. That's some of my fondest memories was calling college softball. I absolutely loved every moment of it. And Haley Cruz was a big part of that. So she is my current favorite female athlete.
All right, Scott, what about you, bud?
I've got two. I want to give a quick shout out and then I'll go into my main here. So Shamika Holsclaw, Tennessee, Lady Volunteer, 95 to 99. When I was coming up, I played a lot of basketball as a kid, and she was so dominant in those, Tennessee Lady Volunteer teams back in the day. Very inspiring. And really the main inspiration for me was another softball player. Actually, I'm a big baseball player growing up, played college ball as well. And Kat Osterman, left-handed pitcher for the University of Texas from 02 to 06. I was a left-handed pitcher in high school at the same exact time. 4-time All-American, 2-time Olympian, holds the Big 12 Triple Crown for pitching, holds records in wins, ERA, strikeouts, shutouts, no-hitters, and perfect games. There's no better definition of dominance at the college level, and also, again, being able to play for the USA women's softball team, which is their equivalent of professional sports in softball. And Kat Osterman, along with a few others, Jenny Finch and some of these others, were incredibly inspiring to me at the time that I was in high school, coming up in college as well.
That's great. That's great. Charlie?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a name that everyone's pretty familiar with in Serena Williams. I just think that her story and her journey is just so remarkable, and she's just such an inspiration coming from a poor background, from a tough area, and just it didn't matter what the circumstances were. She's just been an inspiration for everybody, has dominated the sport, and has just been a great role model for little girls to grow up and want to be like her one day.
Yeah, it's when you find role models, it's interesting. I've been told you don't meet your heroes because your expectations for them are so high, and no matter who anybody is, they're human beings and they're all flawed. But I think the examples we all had today, I think have truly transcended and represented women and the game of sport unbelievably for a long, long time, and they will for generations and generations. Because
can we really quickly here, Ryan, shout out Sarah Fuller also, because I think Sarah Fuller, we have to do our due diligence as a we're obviously a sports show, but like football conversation dominates right now. And Sarah Fuller kicking field goals for Vanderbilt. I mean, that was amazing to see this season.
It was awesome. I remember the only reason I turned on that game that day was to see her attempt an extra point, because people don't understand how meaningful it was to young girls who were watching that and talking with their daddies about how they can do anything they wanted to in a male-dominated sport. And then just to have, you understand the perspective of people when you saw the negativity that was flashed against her. And that's the problem within our country, that it has been so marginalized forever and ever and ever because of the uncomfortability of our country. And equal is equal. And I love stories like that. I love seeing people be happy, accomplish things, and change the world. And these women are doing that. And proud to say I know Sue Bird, and she makes an incredible impact on my life as we speak. So let's move along here to the big news of last night, right? The All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game, 170 to 150. Okay, a lot of people have commented around the idea of it. It's become like this, run and gun from the logos to layup drills and dunks. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't watched an NBA All-Star game in probably 20 years. I did not even attempt to watch it last night. I live vicariously through you three in our group text thread. So I'll look down and, Dame Lillard is having a big game. Who would have thought, so for me, Giannis went perfect, 16 for 16 or something like that. So, I didn't watch it. I also didn't watch the royal couple talk with Oprah about the oppressive nature. Like 17 million people watched that, though. In comparison, 23 million people watched the Giants Cowboys game this fall. So no matter what we say, football is still king. But last night, you guys told me they combined not only the 3-point shootout, but the dunk contest, like all inclusive in the night. I like that part of it, that it all got done in one thing and didn't make it a huge weekend. It probably gives the players some more downtime to recuperate before the second half of the season goes. But everywhere I heard was the dunk contest was atrocious. I think the last one I really watched was Vince Carter, just because that was probably the best. I don't know what you can do. You have to be so inventive. And I don't like the fact that you can go up and miss dunks and then just go back and try again until you get it. I figure if you miss it, that was your chance. You're out. Go sit your ass down. Here's your 0 and move on. But Steph Curry won the 3-point shot contest on the final ball. That was pretty cool. So these are all things I see. I feel like the NBA All-Star Game for me has now become something I can just watch in highlight clips and stuff the next day, and clearly live through it vicariously through you guys and your fandom.
Yeah, it was boring. 2 nights ago, NBA TV actually had the 2003 All-Star Game on, and I watched that was awesome. It was Michael Jordan's last All-Star game. Mm-hmm. It was Allen Iverson and Jermaine O'Neal and Shaq and Kobe, Steve Francis, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Yao Ming. I can go. Zydrunas Ilgauskas got 6 minutes in that game, for God's sake. Paul Pierce, Antoine Walker. I could probably name every player on both those teams at this point, but they actually cared. It went double overtime in that game. In double overtime of the 2003 All-Star Game, they scored fewer points than what we saw last night in 3 normal quarters, and then the first of 24 in the fourth quarter. So the game has become a little bit more of a fan-centric event than a competition, I think, right? Like you're playing for $10,000. They're playing to last night. It was really nice. They're donating, $1.2 million to the Thurgood Marshall Fund, which goes to historically black colleges and universities. So the intention is great, but these guys don't want to be there. Like they're in the middle of the most grueling basketball season they've ever had to play in the middle of a pandemic. LeBron James publicly questioned why they're having the All-Star Game. Jason Tatum didn't want it. Like none of these guys wanted to be there.
Yeah, so, I don't understand why anybody would want to be there at all. And
and it was
for the fans.
Play. Yeah, it was apparent. Yeah. It was for the fans. It was for the money. And look, again, they centered it around a great cause, representing historically black colleges and universities, and I appreciate that. But the play itself, it's just not fun to watch. It's just simply not fun to watch.
We see this in the NFL too, though. I mean, like the NFL Pro Bowl is and has been for a long time. It's like they literally don't even tackle. They're not supposed to tackle. They get a scrum in the middle, blow the play dead right away. There's touchdown after touchdown. It is for the fans, and the number one rule amongst the players in these games is do not get injured. Do not get injured in an exhibition game. So they're not going all out on purpose.
You put yourself in a position, right? Klay Thompson blew his Achilles out in a pickup game before the season started, right? I mean, this is something that can happen. Imagine if somebody got hurt in a game like this that ended their season. So when that happens, somebody new has to jump in, next guy up. Well, we were talking about this pre-show last week. What Blake Griffin was released from the Detroit Pistons. He was going to be a free agent. Where does he go? Our boy Jonathan Rifkin was all over it. Him going to the Nets. I thought it would be it would just make them a dream team. But I really thought the Lakers were going to get in the mix. I thought he'd be a good fit there if AD can't get back on the court for a while. And look at that starting lineup for the Brooklyn Nets right now. I mean, if Steve Nash cannot figure out how to get this team to the Eastern Conference Finals, there's a huge problem. I mean, they're stacked. They're loaded now. I don't know how much of a step Blake Griffin's lost, but what do you guys think about the signing, and what does this mean about the Nets in the Eastern Conference?
Go ahead, Charlie.
I was going to say I might be getting the bat out a little early today, but I don't think Blake's going to be a starter. I don't think he's going to start for them. Yeah,
he's not a starter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, fine.
That's what makes him even
starting
better.
lineup doesn't matter to me. If he comes off the bench as a 6th or 7th guy, still
that's an amazing piece.
Yeah, but again, coming off the bench, I think he'll be a valuable asset. I think he's gonna.
I love how you were worried about the bat already. Yeah, just say what you want to say. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm on it.
Let it happen organically, Charlie.
But no, I think he'll be a good piece for them. He's definitely going to want to be able to play harder. He's definitely changed his game to shooting more threes. He hasn't dunked in over a year, so I'm kind of excited to see the type of role he has with these 3 all-stars around him.
12 points a game average, 36.5 shooting percentage, average numbers at best. However, we do know what Blake Griffin was and frankly could be, maybe in a better system, more motivation, better players around him. We see this a lot where guys are, I'm not going to say he's at the end of his career necessarily yet, but fading from their heyday and they get to a better position, their general kind of enthusiasm for the game comes back later in their career and they're able to step it up 1 or 2 more seasons. I could absolutely see Blake Griffin taking another step now that he's on a true contender.
Well,
would you say it's the back 9 of his career, Sky?
Absolutely, I would.
Absolutely.
All right.
Like
It's a golf
Howard
reference
out
there.
here. But I wanna quickly take an analytical approach to this because Carlos actually makes a very good point here in our comments. Everybody comment. Make sure you offer insight in our YouTube chat. Number one, they're gonna sign JJ Redick, whether it's with a trade or another Charlie's face right there. That says everything. So what happens? Blake Griffin, he's on the back 9, but he's about to be in a different role than he's ever been in his entire career because Blake Griffin is not the number 1 option. He's not the number 2 option. He's not the number 3 option. Might not even be the number 4 option because I would take Joe Harris over Blake Griffin as an offensive option. What he gives you is another asset that make the defense work. You can't, with Blake Griffin out there, you're not doubling James Harden, you're not doubling Kyrie, you're not doubling Kevin Durant. You can't leave any single one of those players open because if you leave Blake Griffin open, if you leave Jeff Green open, if you leave Joe Harris open, you're going to get a 3 hit. You're going to get somebody in the post, a wide open layup. So it makes defenses worry. So Blake Griffin is there not only as a decoy to open up the game for the other players, but he's going to be fit into a system that benefits his style of play. He doesn't have to shoot threes anymore.
Do you cover the Nets? I'm just wondering.
I listen to a lot of Iron Eagle, and so and Ryan Rucco. So I've been all on top of them this season.
Our boy Daniel says Joe Harris is the only guy on that team who can perform without the ball. If they can sign JJ Redick, that will be another one that can as well. So
we got the Brooklyn Clippers coming to town. Just wait till we get CP3 in a trade.
That's so true.
All right, let's go to our fearless sponsor, Sunfair. All right, everybody. Sunfair is a food delivery service, meal prep, if you will call, that I started back in July during the pandemic when I saw a picture of myself that I didn't like. And I got in touch with them, and they started putting me on a nutritional change and delivered my food every morning. So every morning I get a little green bag at my doorstep. I went from that to that. We show this every show now. It's weird to see abs on me. I've never seen abs on me. I was like this massive like blob for so long. And in fact, it's got me contemplating starting my own OnlyFans thing. I don't know what that is, guys. By the way, I was told to.
Those are going to be fun highlights to cut. Sky and I have to go over those after too.
Yeah. I am going to be starting my OnlyFans page here soon, everybody, with abs like that. Sunfair gave it to me, right? It's all about the food. It really is. Today, like every once in a while, like I talked about it, how I felt I was a little bit of a funk this weekend. So I called my nutritionist and I said, all right, let's kickstart it this week. So he sent over, starting today, the fat burn diet. Now they have multiple different diets you can use: fat burn, keto, paleo, your signature diet, how you can make it however you want. And the fat burn, it removes all sugar, all dairy, just streamlines all of that. It's just like today's meal was strawberries for breakfast, grass-fed ground beef for lunch, a green smoothie that had kale. It's kind of like a salad, but in a smoothie you get for the snack. And then dinner is going to be a grilled chicken breast and some vegetables, followed up before bed with some blackberries. That's what the fat burn diet is. It's hard. This next 7 days are going to be hard for me. Luckily, I can stick to the regimen. I've been doing it for a while, but boy, has it been helpful for my physical health and definitely my mental health. When you are putting the right kind of foods in your body, Sunfair does it great. So I want you all to get 10% off your first order. So go to sunfair.com, enter your information, and then when you get to sales representative, pick Carl Ferro, Ferro, and then when you select the Ryan D. Leaf Show about is when you look at how you heard about it. Complete your sign up, 10% off your first delivery, and we go from there. We can compare pictures a year from now. How about that? I like that idea. It helps you stay accountable because you're paying for it. It comes to your door every morning. You can be surprised with what kind of meal you're getting, from salmon to fish to chicken, all of it. Select Carl Ferro as your sales representative. Select Ryan D. Leaf Show in the How Did You Hear About Us drop down. Complete your sign up, and that's the way we go. Sunfair.com. It's all about the food, guys. All about the food. All right. Speaking of all about the food, the PGA Tour. Bryson DeChambeau is all about the food. He bulked up over the last 2 years, and it's been the story of the PGA Tour about his length, just bombing. What he did at Winged Foot in the U.S. Open is unbelievable, running away with that tournament by 5 strokes. And this weekend, it was all talk as they were at Bay Hill, Arnold Palmer's spot, the Bay Hill Invitational, on a par 5 that was surrounded by a lake. So normally it's a dogleg left along this huge lake, and you hit it out to the right to the fairway, then you take your second shot into the green by going. Well, DeChambeau came in saying, I'm going to go after this sucker, right? It's 330-yard carry to carry the water if you're going straight at the hole. So for him, he'd probably have to hit it 360, 370 to make sure he's clean, clear. And boy, oh boy, man, it was a huge story. People were it was like a buzz. There was some fans there in Florida, patrons watching it as it went down. And the first day he did it, the exuberance from him when he cleared that water, he hit it 370 yards. Now, I don't know what the risk reward part for him is, because he birdied it both days. It's not like he's eagling it. He birdied it, which is what most guys did when they did it the other way too. But it gave some excitement. There was some boldness to it, which Arnold Palmer was always known for. And he would go on to win the tournament. But not only is he bombing it, guys, he's accurately bombing it. He's keeping it in the fairway, and he's making putts. So he's doing all the things. The most impressive part about the fact that he is hitting it so far is that he's being accurate. And he's a rather unlikable personality to a lot of people. I like him. I had the opportunity to meet him a year ago on the range, and he was nothing but cordial and fun and nice to me. So, and I have a tendency not to judge people until I've met them, because I know how that feels when no one has ever met you, how they judge that. But he's really been a fun part of the PGA Tour. What do you guys think about just the bombs that he's been hitting off the tee? Like, his carry is unbelievable. I played on Saturday, and a guy that was like 5'6" was out driving me, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's fun. It's the excitement. That's the excitement for the common fan or golf watcher. That's what people want to see. Similar to baseball, if you don't know the intricacies of baseball and what a 2-1 count with 2 outs and a runner on second, the third inning means, you want to see home runs, you want to see stolen bases, you want to see strikeouts. So hitting bombs and getting that excitement into the game is exciting for the common fan and good for the sport, frankly.
What do you guys think about his personality? Like, he's kind of got this feeling like, you guys are way too young, but did you guys ever see them? It's a cult classic. Did you guys ever see the movie Real Genius with Val Kilmer?
Nope.
You just got to go watch. Okay. So there's these geniuses they go to, MIT when they're 16 years old, Tony Stark style. And they're just really social enigmas and awkward. So like he seems kind of awkward. It's all in the science. Well, clubs are all the same length. He does things differently. He's, and so I feel like that's turned a lot of people off from him. But what do you guys do? You enjoy it? Do you like his personality? Do you like what it brings to the PGA Tour?
Yeah, I think it keeps it interesting. One of the things about golf, like Sky talked about, right? The draw is the nuance, but I think that when you extract the nuance, there needs to be something more. Like, to be honest with you guys, I'm not a big golf fan, right? Like I'm not, but because I haven't been, it just doesn't excite me. Like there are a few things that do excite me, but I think personality, getting to know these guys and bring something a little bit more spicy to the table, is more provoking to the fan and makes it more interesting. So yeah, I'm cool with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not like he's just bombing it to bomb it, like just hit it as far as he's accurate.
Right.
He's accurate and he's making putts. Kind of like John Daly in the early 90s, maybe, John Daly kind of came out of nowhere, when he won his major and stuff like that. So, but speaking of somebody who's been around for a long, long time, Phil Mickelson, right? Pac-12, Pac-10, Arizona State grad. This was an amazing stat I heard this morning, right? He is outside the top 100 for the first time since 1993. So 2 of you weren't even born. Another one of you was 10 years old. I was winning a state high school football championship. That's how long Phil Mickelson has been in the top 100. The consistency of playing golf at a high, high level. He's into his 50s already, still on the PGA Tour. Never won a U.S. Open. The only one that he lacks in his career Grand Slam. Doesn't look like he's probably going to get it. As we all know, the U.S. Open is the toughest test of the majors, I believe. But what a run of, what is that? Almost
years.
30 years, 28 years consecutively being in the top 100 as a professional golfer. That's some cheddar he's putting that pocket of his over those 28 years. Wow. It's always been about Tiger, but Tiger's been meteoric, and then he's just fell off the map. He's been outside the 100. This is one of the greatest records, I think, in existence, to be in that top 100 for as long as he has been. Wow, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize the consistency of Phil Mickelson until the stat came out today.
Ryan, do you see any modern, either up and comers or guys who have been on the scene for a few years, current players right now in golf? And Tiger obviously has set himself in another stratosphere, but with the longevity maybe, or the success long-term that Phil has had, at least over a 30-year career at the top.
I don't know. How hard guys swing now. Phil Mickelson was always like a guy that showed up at the Muni on the weekend and just had this like natural free throw shooting swing where it was just wasn't labored at all, and I think that's allowed for that.
It's got that lefty hook.
Tiger Woods has had so much, and the reason why he's a left-handed golfer, right? He's right-handed, but he grew up mimicking his dad. His dad was across from him swinging right-handed, and Phil would stand on the other side of him with the golf club and mimic him the other way. That's how he became a left-handed golfer.
That's awesome.
It's a neat story. It really, really is.
What about oh, sorry, Ryan. Did you see the Spieth hole-in-one this weekend?
Yeah, 223-yard par 3. And as soon as it hits the green surface, watch this, guys. It lands, and then it's like on a beeline to the hole. I mean, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Like on a string. So, yeah, I have not had a hole-in-one. I've never had a hole-in-one. I figure the amount of golf I'm going to play over the next 40 years, I'm going to get a hole-in-one. I've had some close ones, but it's starting to get frustrating. I've never been witness to one either. I've had 5 eagles on par 4. So my longest one was at Torrey Pines back when I was playing professional football. I hit a 178-yard 7-iron at Torrey Pines, and and made an eagle there. Also
How
at
often
Riviera.
were you golfing at TP when you were down here in San Diego?
Well, I lived right across the street, so I
Yeah.
would golf as much as I could. I played there recently. I didn't play that well. Sky decided to leave us since
He
we were
was
talking
over
about
it.
golf. Yeah, he was like,
Yeah.
screw this golf talk. I'm all about like beard oil and Gale Sayers, and screw you. All right.
Hey, don't slander Gale Sayers.
So on Wednesday, the show will be back, of course, and on Friday as well, noon to 1. But this Friday, I know, big important guy. I already have to miss a show on Friday because I have to go to Arizona. This will be the first time I traveled since COVID hit. I have to go do some work with Sunfair. I'm an ambassador for them, and they're, like I said, they're one of our sponsors. And I'm going to be probably on the golf course on Friday doing some commercial work with that. But what we're going to try to do is on Friday, we're going to try to get me live on the show. The boys here are taking under a huge task here to host the Ryan D. Leaf show. I'm worried, though. It's like one of those things that I don't know if you guys read about the party that happened recently that ended up being very Project X-ish. That I don't want to hear that story when I get back. Like the police have been called and the show burnt down, and but you both got laid because the girls that you wanted to come to the party found out that you're really cool because you threw a great party. All right, that's not what the RDL show is here for your guys' love lives. All right, though it may help it eventually, but I don't think direct solicitation is important on Friday. I don't want to hear about that.
Where's the Ryan Leafs romantic insight segment? Where
recommendations?
Write in needing love. Yeah,
I'm a horrible romantic. I am a narcissist, and I'm terribly selfish. I do feel like later in life I've become more vulnerable, which has made me more attractive to women. Though I live during a pandemic now, and I'm afraid to go near anybody. So my love life is essentially OnlyFans pages, I guess is the way to do it, right?
At least you get paid for it then.
It's a great.
I do. I've been meaning to show this to you guys.
Start.
So I told you about in the open that I got my son his first golf set, and what I did is I had an old golf set in the back in the garage, and so I took it to the dealer and I was like, "Hey, measure my son. And remember, he grows like an inch a day, so factor that in." And he cut him down. And you guys will get a crack out of this. This is the funniest putter I've ever seen in my life. But he loves it, and he puts his ass off with it now. But look at the size of this thing, guys. This is the putter right here. This is how spoiled he is. It's not just like a Dunlap putter or something like that. This is a Scotty Cameron Titleist putter. So it's probably like a $250 putter that I just cut in half and said, hey McG, this is for you. But he loves it. He loves his new little set. The guy told me when he was cutting down, he's like, these heads are going to be incredibly heavy because they're made for. And I said, my son's going to be a giant. I mean, he's going to be 6'9". Let him have him. He'll whack away at it. I didn't think about the fact that he's probably going to whack me like in the nuts or in. First thought was on my hand. He swung his driver all the way through and it just smoked the back of my hand. But I figure as a father, and I told MacGyver's mom when he was born, I was like, what young childhood is about is getting hit in the junk by your son and watching cartoons and getting snuggles. I think that's probably what the first 3 years of being a dad is all about.
What's the tail of the tape on MacGyver looking like?
Well, he's an inch. So we took him to his 3-year checkup October 5th, and he was an inch taller than I was at my 4-year visit. So he's an inch taller than me, or he's a year taller than me, essentially. So I'm almost 6'7". His mom is 6 foot, 6'1". She was a all conference volleyball player out at Georgetown. So he's going to be he's a little athlete. He's got good hand-eye coordination. But I don't know. What
basketball or football?
Well, he's not going to play football. That's for sure. So
golf, obviously.
Obviously, yes.
Golf.
If you can be Phil Mickelson, you can make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
For 30 years, obviously. I mean.
Is MacGyver going to be a lefty because he's watching you?
But he's going to be so tall. he's going to be so tall. He's going to be like 6'9". He's going to be a big boy. So I expect basketball to be an option. You know, volleyball. You know, who knows? Who knows? We're not really concerned with that right now. All we're concerned with was getting him back in preschool because we had become preschool stay-at-home teachers. That's now on the resume, by the way. So when I apply for jobs, you know, preschool stay-at-home teachers now there. And he's back at school 3 days a week, and then we kick it from the rest of the time. And yeah, it's great. But you know, so I'm going to be gone on Friday, so the boys are going to take it over, and we'll see what happens there here in our second week. So,
are you related to TJ Leaf by any chance? I never asked.
I'm not.
You know who TJ Leaf is?
But when he was playing for UCLA, there was people asked that question a lot, and I said, sure, yeah, cousin.
Good for TJ Leaf.
Yeah, probably.
Probably not for TJ Leaf, but for me, I was like, hey, you know, LA, you know, guys, UCLA's playing well. He's going to get drafted most likely. Maybe I could leech on to a couple endorsement bucks there or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if you guys like the hoodie today, but this is one of my favorite ones. That's great. Little tribute to the troops. Camo Wazoo.
That is cool.
Can't remember how I got this. Somebody actually just sent it in the mail to me as a present.
I happen to be rocking Wazoo colors today.
I like it.
I like it. Get Nick Rolovich on the show.
All right, before we go to this to our Athletic Brewing, let's talk to here. What do you think the Pats should do with their quarterback problem? Well, we're going to get into some quarterbacks here in a minute. Re-sign Newton, take a quarterback in the offseason, look for a quarterback in the next draft. They need to find a quarterback forever. They should not re-sign Cam Newton. I don't know if anybody should resign Cam Newton. That guy, for whatever his talent and what he brought to the table in the NFL, you know, at some point he took too many hits. He was a fraction of himself a year ago in New England. And I know he said he doesn't want to go out like that, but unfortunately, you know, when we're coming that way, Jack loves it. Jack loves to bring the board bust into the mix, doesn't he? The bat's going to come out here in a minute. You know why, Jack? It's because he's got the last name Leaf, and Leaf is, you know, correspondent to bust. So I get your thinking there. Be very careful. If I didn't have to talk about this awesome non-alcoholic beer by Athletic Brewing, the bat would be out. All right. So here we are. Brew without compromise. All right. Go to athleticbrewing.com. You get 10% off if you ship 2 6-packs. Today we got Run Wild. This is the Sky. This is the IPA. Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. Non-alcoholic brew. What I found out is that we crack one open every show. Boom. And then we have a taste because I like that one too. You know, I'm not a huge brewery guy. I was a very bland beer drinker in my day. I was kind of exclusively a Bud Light snob, which is kind of like water, and you had to drink a bunch of them to feel the effects. But that's pretty good. Run Wild, Athletic Brewing. Go to athleticbrewing.com. If you don't want to feel, you know, the negative consequences to drinking alcohol, right? You still get the great taste, low calories, only 70 calories per can. It fits the athletic, wellness, healthy lifestyle. I'm allergic to alcohol. I break out in handcuffs. You guys are going to get sick and tired of that joke. But Athletic Brewing's a cool alternative when you're out with pals or you're at a house party and you feel uncomfortable not having a drink in your hand or something like that. I think it's a wonderful company and one that has stepped up for us to be a sponsor here on our show. So Athletic Brewing, athleticbrewing.com. Rob Berger comes to us. Aren't the Pats trying to get Jimmy G back? I'd be okay with that. Go Niners. Okay. You know, Jimmy G was one throw away from winning you a Super Bowl, though, Rob. So how quickly we forget these things. Grass is always greener. The idea of quarterback play is been so exacerbated because of Patrick Mahomes. And I suppose you can say Tom Brady. He's an anomaly. But what Patrick Mahomes has done as he broke on the scene in the last 3 years, 3 consecutive AFC championships, 2 consecutive Super Bowl runs, an MVP, Super Bowl MVP, that is kind of the expectation. And if you don't have that quarterback, you're always looking for another one. And there are 2 quarterbacks out there right now who have those similar expectations and produce at a high level. And they are DeShaun Watson and Russell Wilson. Okay. And we are on this Wilson Watson watch moving forward until something new happens. The salary cap hasn't been set in stone yet, which could extend the franchise tag deadline a few more days. We'll see. It was supposed to be on tomorrow, I believe. It may get expanded. There's going to be a ton of cuts here for guys that you weren't expecting because of that limited salary cap. It drops all the way to 180 is what we're hearing right now. But as for Wilson and Watson, Russell Wilson continues to be a name out there. And I had a great discussion on NFL radio yesterday with SiriusXM about how that could happen. Now, both of them have no trade clauses. So no matter what kind of offers they get, like Seattle could get an unbelievable offer for somebody, as could the Houston Texans, like unbelievable offers that would really benefit their organizations and help them rebuild if they do get rid of the franchise quarterback of their dreams. The problem is, if that's not a team that either Russell or DeShaun want to go to, they veto that. They shut it down. So all of these variables have to come into line. The team that wants to make the trade has to have probably draft equity enough and not trade away players, because the team's not looking for players. They're looking for to build through the draft if you're getting rid of a quarterback. You also have to have the cap ability to take on those types of contracts. Those contracts are enormous. The cap hit for Russell Wilson is in the $30 million range. Okay? So the team that is receiving this, all these things that go on, you have to have. These are the variables. You have to have the cap ability. You have to feel like you're close to being one player away, and that's the quarterback position. And you have to have the draft equity available to trade for that player. And I find it really, the New York Jets for me are the only team out there that really has that. And they are in the position to draft a quarterback and have him on a rookie contract and pay other players to build that team up. So I don't, for any reason, think that Russell or DeShaun are going anywhere. And in fact, Jonathan and I were talking about this. People talk about DeShaun having the leverage in all this, and he doesn't. Like, he just signed the new contract, and it's going to be in his second year of that new contract. The big money happens later. The Texans, if they were forceful and put their foot down and simply said, we're not doing it, and DeShaun says, well, I'm not going to play, realistically, DeShaun may never play again. They could simply just hold out on that, fine him every single year, franchise tag him for a couple years, and DeShaun Watson may never play again and never see hardly a bit of that money because he would be fined so much. My question is, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, the PR part of that. Are the Texans that, stubborn, prideful? Are they willing to just shut it down and not have their franchise quarterback playing, yet not have him playing for somebody else? Because guess what? They could get a king's ransom for him. They really could. If they went to the Jets, if they went to Miami, if they went to Chicago, they could get a lot in return. People have talked about it being around the Cowboys for Herschel Walker draft, which set the Cowboys up for a run of 3 Super Bowls in 4 years during that span. So do you think the Texans are really not fielding calls and are willing to sit on this? Or ultimately, is it going to be something where desperation breaks the dam and they have to do it?
Well, let's go over some of these numbers really quick here. I pulled out the breakdown of Deshaun Watson's contract, because you said the big money doesn't come until later. And people don't realize that. People don't realize that this is an ascending contract, right? 2020, $1.17 million. 10.5 in 21, 35 in 22. That's where the big money hits. 20 million in 23, 32 in 24, 32 in 25. Okay, then he's an unrestricted free agent. All right, let's get back on camera here. The thing is that they could franchise tag him 3 times. So realistically,
they can do it 3 times. I don't think they only can do it twice.
Maybe it was twice. So okay, 7 years. They have him for 7 years. They have 7 years of leverage if they want to utilize their entire playbook for all intents and purposes to hold DeShaun Watson onto that roster. But you're right, Ryan. How far will the Texans go? Well, so far, they went against the grain in a coaching hire. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to hire a firm to search for a coach. And then when they got the coaching recommendations, they didn't hire any of the coaches that were recommended to them by the firm that they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to go out and do this search. So honestly, I'm starting to question how much the Texans even care about PR at all. So of all the organizations, they sort of feel like the Cleveland Browns of old, right before, or the Houston Astros before they sold the team, or the Clippers before Donald Sterling sold the team. If the owner decides that they just don't care about optics, they're going to do what they want to do. So I'm curious to see how far they take it, because DeShaun Watson could sit out. He could, but he knows that the Texans have the leverage. And he may just have to bite the bullet and go and play. If you're in his situation with the understanding, Ryan, that the Texans have the leverage here, what do you do if you're DeShaun Watson?
Well, if you're bogged down in this and you're saying this is the way it's going to be, this is, you hold tight. And you make a very public display in front of this team, but they've clearly shown that PR means nothing to them with what this offseason has looked like. So, I don't know what's going to play out here. What I do think is going to happen is ultimately there's going to be a desperate team out there like the Chicago Bears, who are in desperate need of a quarterback and are just licking their wounds over the idea that they passed on this guy, 4 years ago, and put together a huge package, one that will completely decimate the Chicago Bears for years to come and make DeShaun Watson play in a cold, wintry void of Soldier Field for peanuts. That's what I think is going to happen, and it's going to build the Houston Texans up in a way where they're going to really put together a team with draft equity. And if that comes to fruition, I cannot not see them jump at it if somebody becomes that desperate. My only question is there going to be a team desperate enough to do that?
Yeah.
And can they withstand the berating of the public and the fans not having their franchise quarterback who you look for in every draft, and when you get one, you hold on to dearly and tightly, and they have absolutely blown that. This is one of the biggest snafus. This was an interesting one, talking about quarterbacks, and I appreciate Carlos bringing this to the – Mel Kiper came this is kind of tooting my own horn, by the way, too. He came out with his top 10 quarterbacks he ever graded out of college. And he ranked me 8th. And I remember how high he had me ranked that year. And I always use that when they bring up names, like when Josh Allen's name was brought up a couple years ago when Mel Kiper thought he was the best overall guy. And I said, hey, don't forget, Mel Kiper had me picked as the number 1 guy, too. So ahead of me was Elway, Andrew Luck, Peyton, Trevor Lawrence, I'm assuming that's Jim Kelly, Andre Ware, and Drew Bledsoe. And I was ahead of Troy Aikman and Josh Allen. So you never know. Andre Ware and I didn't have the best careers. Andrew Luck was injury-ridden, but he was very, very good. And then you got the rest out there that are the best. So here we go. We got our draft coming. And, we're talking about probably 5 quarterbacks that could possibly be drafted in the top 15. Every day I hear more and more Mac Jones's name moving towards the top inside the 15. He is a name, Sky, that you might want to look out for at 15 for the 49ers. If they are truly thinking about moving off of Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones may be a guy that they're looking at. I don't know if he necessarily fits with what Kyle does, but then again, I could be completely wrong in that. He's sneaky athletic, and he brings some to the table. But the 5 quarterbacks that we're talking about right now are Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Mac Jones. And my sleeper in all this is out of Stanford, Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Davis
Mills. Davis Mills is my sleeper in this draft. Somebody's going to get him later than he probably should have gone. He is a first-round talent. People have compared his talent, his arm talent, all of it to Andrew Luck while he was at Stanford there. He only has 12 starts in the league in college football. He's leaving a year early, a lot of injuries. Smart of him to probably go because of injuries. I was hoping he'd come back for another year to establish himself. He probably could make himself into maybe the number 1 overall draft pick a year from now. So we're here. We're there. And those are the names I think that are, and I'm wondering where Mel will have them on his list here in the next few days. So I'm going to get out of here with this. So I really don't know what TikTok is. I mean, I understand, but a neighbor recently moved in next door to me, and they have a young child too. And we were out walking together the other day, and we were talking about everything. She's like, I hope things haven't been too loud for you lately. My brother is here with his friends, and they do and they do TikTok for a living. And I looked at her like, what is that? What do you mean they do TikTok for a living? I don't understand what that means, and I still don't understand what it means. So I figured it out because I'm on Instagram from time to time, and I absolutely get lost in these reels on TikTok or on Instagram. I literally the night was like 45 minutes in. Maybe that's where my depression came from this weekend, because I watched 45 minutes of freaking reels on Instagram with TikTok. And so I ask you guys, you can make a living off TikTok if you have enough like followers or whatever, just like influencers. You advertise and you can make money doing that, because it's crazy. I think to introduce me to all this stuff that we have to do a TikTok like RDL show page, and I have to like do these challenges and make an absolute fool of myself. I think maybe we'd probably get more viewers or subscribers if I'm just acting the fool all the time. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh, we'll blow up. My heart is so full right now because you just exposed the entire like Gen Z millennial generation in this one conversation that you had. Because when you say like that's where my depression comes from, that's the root of it, is when people get lost in other people's lives. Oh, Sky doesn't care about TikTok.
Sky does not care about TikTok.
Sky,
get out of here, Sky. Oh, Sky gets the bat today. That's what we forgot to bring it out today, boys.
Literally swinging it out of here. No, but
he gets it on his way out the door.
But we're talking about like depression and like people comparing themselves to other people and imposter syndrome, which is a really big deal right now. I think especially in coronavirus, because we're all knocked off our course a little bit. Sky's back. Sky, you got the bat. You missed it.
You got the bat. Man. You got the bat for having shitty internet service today, Sky. Where are you? Eugene, Oregon? Well, Ducks.
Let me throw this out there here. We have 1 minute. I'm going to squeeze this in for the folks. So we're talking TikTok, all right? So I have a daughter in high school who's either on schoolwork or TikTok 24/7. Partners downstairs on Zoom for work as well. We've got multiple Wi-Fis. No excuses. I appreciate the bat. We'll bring the bat up to the Pacific Northwest. Huge fan of baseball, so I would gladly take a custom Ryan Leaf Louisville Slugger, no problem.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Second week, great start. Appreciate you guys being a part of it. This is something new, it's grassroots, where we start. All these fans keep interacting with us. That makes it so much fun. I need to get on TikTok just to make a fool of myself. All right, we'll see you Wednesday, hopefully with my heroes, Sue Bird. You guys all have a great day. Thanks for watching the RDL show. We'll be back.